very much. I'm now going to resume my questions and would like to, in the same spirit that the gentleman accused me of, trying to be thoughtful about this, as Mr. Nfume and I have tried to work together on this for all of our members, giving them the opportunity to express their own opinions, as both sides have done. Mr. Dorman, the other day, and perhaps yesterday, you and I spoke, and it was significantly directed to new employees and how we mature their not only growth, but work in an environment that is about the mission statement that you have. One of the concerns with Telework is the impact on new hires, as we have noted today. And you and I began a discussion. Do you mind continuing that discussion about how you mature new employees, how you bring them in, how you properly analyze them, and build their confidence as, in essence, federal employees?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So at the NRC, 1 out of every 6 employees is new to the agency in the last 2 years. So this is a very important area for us as we deal with the retirement waves that the member from Virginia referred to. And so in this environment, you know, I think we do see a new generation that's interested in telework, but I also see a new generation coming into my offices that are saying, I need to connect with the people who are here and I need to learn from them. And so we, as part of our Presence with Purpose, one of the areas is the onboarding and training and qualification of our new staff. And so a number of our offices have specific core days that are dedicated to staff training and development so that we make sure that the inspectors, the license reviewers, the engineers and scientists that we come in, to come into the agency, learn the regulatory craft and are ready to carry forward our mission into the future.
Thank you. Mr. Gibbs, I don't want to turn this like we've got problems, but I will tell you, as part of the viewpoint that we had, there was a discussion about the JPL at Caltech and a particular project called Psyche.
Psyche, that's correct.
And evidently, as part of the feedback from that, there was an independent review board that was regarding this that pointed to remote and hybrid work policies as contributing factors for the lack of success that it may have accomplished. And it called for more in-person work. Now, I'm not trying to say on your side of the ball or their side of the ball, but the way I view NASA is they have a mission statement, once again, as we have spoken about, for the success, whether it is your rocket or someone else's rocket, a collaborative effort to make America look good when we put something up, because when it does not happen that way, whether we go to the Challenger or the United States Air Force with Titan rockets for a number of years, failure is an indication of a problem. Could you please discuss with me your take on that independent review board report?
Yes, sir. So Psyche, one of the contributing factors to poor performance on Psyche was telework, amongst many other contributing factors. I think the important message, at least within the NASA walls, is that we're owning up, having a critical evaluation, an independent review board, and we're committed to corrective actions, not only on Psyche, but on other future missions, interacting with JPL and across the NASA portfolio completely. We have a lot of complex partnerships. We have over 650 new partnerships on an annual basis across our country and 65 internationally. We have to ensure that our communication, our ability to lead, all of these things, you know, doing our science and doing the rest of the mission work is accomplished efficiently and effectively. I think for me, though, the takeaway was we're willing to take a look, have a hard conversation, and commit to corrective actions.
Yes, sir. Well, we are, and thank you for that answer. The importance of our oversight responsibilities that is especially enumerated in the Constitution of the United States, which rests in this committee and subcommittee, is to ensure that we are hearing from you, that you are hearing from us. And it's my hope that, as I stated in the beginning, we're trying to recognize those who responded to what I would say in a positive, favorable way. We are attempting to also gain from the committee's perspective that I believe Mr. Mfume recognizes and supports, as Mr. Conley, is your feedback to us. Several of our members today have indicated that you likewise have boiled down to, we're interested in your analysis that I would expect that each of you would provide to this committee in writing, your evaluation of what those metrics are when someone is working from home. That would include your rules, regulations, ongoing experiences of who that includes. We had, in my prior life, what we called craft employees. I worked for AT&T for 16 years. You have management employees and you have what I will just call workers who contribute to the critical role that you play across the government. If you could distinguish for me, do your supervisors, are they exempted? Do they come to work? What is their role with the management structure? How is that working? And the reason why I say this is because perhaps there's some disagreement in Congress about how effective our procedures were. It was very attractive to young people who were freshmen. They wish they had that same opportunity now to work remotely and really not come to Washington, but to be somewhere else. Our experiences that we had in Congress of dealing with remote working, Zooms, having committee hearings, the effectiveness of hearing each other, talking with each other, in my opinion, was a less than favorable experience. You have today tried to provide this subcommittee with the viewpoints that you believe you have a favorable experience. You believe you have been able to craft your workforce up to and including your ability to hire people, to manage people, the productivity that would be involved, and perhaps the end result of providing us at least 4 agencies, once again, that we selected because we viewed that what you provided us was information where you were forthright about it. We'd like to make sure we get it right also. And so your time that you spent today was valuable to the distinguished gentleman and myself in this committee. We want to follow up a little bit more. We're going to be holding hearings in a couple weeks of those who did not offer us the favorability of giving us insight into their operations. We applaud you as not only federal employees, but your service, whether it was at the Marine Corps, whether it was at the United States Navy, or whether it's vast experience of working for the federal government. But with that said, we're also trying to determine the same things that are very apparent that would be available to us, and that is that we saw in education where people, children, young people, students, did not get outside their home, did not have human interaction, did not, so to speak, work with other people and sharpen their skill set, did not build themselves, did not perhaps became lethargic in other areas. We saw in education and across workplaces in what I would call the free enterprise system, where there were remarks across the board where real valuable development of employees lagged. Real opportunity to move an employee perhaps more quickly up to an experience level lagged. Where they are having a difficult time in the free enterprise system, in private industry, getting people to come back to work because it is not meeting the expectation, not because they don't have a public at them. We have seen adaptivity on behalf of what I would say American Airlines, who I deal with on a regular basis. And at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, they would get calls. Weather patterns have meant that they did have to have employees perhaps work overtime that had not come into work. All I'm suggesting to you is that industry leaders are now seeking, and I hear this on a regular basis. I'm from Waco, Texas, deep, what might be called deep in the heart of Texas. Employers are coming to Texas because they need people who come to work. And I believe I hear from industry leaders every day who don't harbor resentment against COVID, but harbor some sense of a change in workplace procedures, professionalism, guidance, developing their people, people developing themselves, and a sense of a wilderness by many employees who do not have the same thing that perhaps I grew up with, that perhaps you grew up with. And I would simply suggest to you that workplace performance, education, and what we see happening provides us with insight about who's going to come to work and why is that work at home, and wasn't there a valuable experience that was gained from professionally being developed by someone like Mr. Mfume and myself. I think we help new members of Congress occasionally. Oh. Okay, well, perhaps not as much by Mr. Mfume, but I believe that I have worker members and staff who seek out my 25 years experience, especially now when instead of going to fear, we go to work and process. So I would simply say to you, I appreciate and respect you coming here today. I think from the 2 calls that I made yesterday, I wanted to set an expectation that this committee finds your insight as professional managers of the business insightful, and that you are evidently trying to make it work, but would tell you that across industry in many of the same organizations, whether it be sheriff's departments, whether it be other areas that deal with deep need, not dark, but deep subjects that require notice and working together and actually getting it right and putting it on the board and experience yielding opportunities and managers who build and develop the next generation. Industry is telling us they're not getting it, and that's why they want people back at work. And I saw you do the opposite today. And so without a challenge to you, I would say, as an open conversation with you and my colleagues, that we would hope to glean information about what you're doing that's making it successful, that many others are finding of a future where we just don't know each other. We don't glean the experience of having to come in and be in a room where there's a problem and you got to work together. It's not just 1 or 2 people on a Zoom call or 10. I would suggest to you that diminishes the ability to get where you want to go, because it's either A, the loudest person in the room, or the boss in the room who simply gave you the answer without working through things. So thank you for this experiment. Thank you for lending us your time. I would like to see you go back and, without challenging me, present to us what you believe were proper viewpoints of how you looked at what you did. You very clearly spoke about, well, your level of efficiency was well up, and yet industry struggles. And I think that your ability as a supporting role to that should correspondingly offer perhaps a little bit more guidance of a team rather than a Zoom call.